So, hi all, good morning again. Let me share my screen. Let me know, was my screen visible? Is it visible to you all?
Yeah.
Okay, good. If I see. So yeah, yesterday we were discussing about this one. Thank you. Different type of storage modes in Power BI. So we have seen how to import the data using import mode yesterday, and today we will discuss about the direct query and live connection and the difference between the import mode and the direct query. Okay. So for that, yesterday I was trying to import the data using the direct query mode, and it got stuck somewhere. Let me just again try to download that. But after the class, I have tried to import the data from the direct query mode. It worked fine. Like I was able to get the data. But still, I will try now again. So let's see whether. So for to get the data using the direct query mode, we have to click on the get the data, and then we will have to select SQL Server because here my database is SQL Server. So here I will give my credentials. Server name is Ignatius. The database I'm trying to pull is Adventure. So yeah, before trying to connect with your database, make sure your database is running. Okay, and this is my database, SQL Server Management Studio, and here is my database. I will try to pull the data from this database, which is AdventureWorks 2019. And my server name is Ingenious, and the database name is AdventureWorks 2019. So I will try to pull the data. And here we have two options, import mode and direct query mode. Okay. So we have already discussed about this import mode. Today we will see how to get the data using direct query mode. So okay, I will select here the direct query and I will click on OK. Okay, click on connect. It takes some time. It's a mistake. Okay. My server name was given incorrect. Again, let's try to click OK. This new pop-up window will appear, and from here I can select any of the tables which I want to pull. So I will select some of these tables and I will try to pull it in the Power BI. Okay, so I will select something from sales department. Okay, let me select this one. This functions customer. Okay. Then I will click on this load button. So let's see, just trying to load it. It will take some time to load. Okay. Yes, so it got downloaded here in the Power BI desktop. And here, these tables I have just imported by using the direct query mode. Okay. So now, and this table yesterday, I have imported this by using import mode. Okay. So you guys can see the graphic interface here of this table, these tables, and here, but in this one I have imported using direct query mode. So can you guys tell me what is the difference between both this instance? This one, okay, take a clear look, and this one. Let me show it to you again. This one is of import mode, okay, and this one is of direct query mode. So let me just close this. Okay, this one right now. Okay, so yeah. So here, this is the direct query mode user interface, and this is the import mode user interface. Can you guys tell me what is the difference between both the interface? So see, here you guys can see how many views are here. Four. That is report view, the table view, model view, and the DAX query view. Okay. So when I have imported these tables using import mode, so I have these four views available. Okay. But if you will see this interface, okay, which I have imported using direct query mode. Okay, these tables I have imported using direct query mode. But here, can you guys see how many views are here? Only three. Report view, model view, DAX query view. Here one view is missing, that is data view, correct? And one more thing, if you go to this model view, okay, each of these tables are highlighted by this blue color. Can you guys see it? This blue color at the top, okay. But if I go to the other Power BI file, okay, Yeah. And again here I will go to the model view. See. And this tables I have brought it from the import mode, and here there is no highlighting. It's just normal as it is. Okay. So this is the difference between the query mode, direct query mode and the import mode. Okay. Now I will tell you the real difference between the import mode and direct query mode. So when you bring the data into the Power BI by using import mode, it means you are actually bringing the data into the Power BI desktop and storing it in Power BI desktop. Okay. So see here, if I will go inside the table view and if I will select any of these tables, so it is showing me these tables. Okay. So let me repeat it. When you are bringing the data in Power BI by using import mode, you actually are bringing the data into the Power BI desktop and storing it in the Power BI desktop. Whereas here, okay, when you bring in the data via the direct query mode, okay, then what you are doing is you are just establishing the connection of Power BI with the backend data. Okay, backend data sources. Data is not coming into the Power BI and getting stored in the Power BI desktop. Instead, Power BI is just establishing the connection to the backend from where the data is coming. Okay, that is the prime difference. And in import mode, what happens is that in import mode, the data is brought into Power BI. So you can see this in the table view. We can see the table here, and we are actually storing it into the Power BI desktop. Not just that, it is also able to compress the data as far as the memory is concerned. That this data will be, when we are trying to import this data will get compressed, and this compression happens due to one engine of Power BI, which is called as Vertipack Compressor Engine. Okay. So in short, what happens in import mode is the data comes in Power BI and it is stored in Power BI desktop. And not just that, it is compressed by the Vertipack compressor engine of the Power BI desktop. Okay. So any doubt regarding this, the import mode and the direct query mode? Yes or no? Queries. Yeah. Okay, fine then. So just go to this. Now, if we talk about the direct query mode, here what happens? Let's say you are using the direct query mode, and let's say you are connecting it to the SQL data source. So just a second. Okay. So here, so the thing is, data stays in SQL only, like here in the server only. Okay. And you are only establishing the connection from PBI to SQL. This server is getting connected with this our Power BI desktop. Okay. And the main thing is that now this is very important. In import mode, let us say you have brought in the data from backend. Okay, in this import mode from the backend, that is in SQL. If you have added certain new columns or new records, like here in the database or in the table, if you have added new columns or new records, those will not be immediately reflected in Power BI. unless and until you will click here, just go this refresh button. Okay, you guys can see it here, this refresh button. Okay, whereas when I talk about the direct query mode, okay, as soon as you make the changes in the backend, if you make any changes in the backend table, okay, then what happens? The front end also changes, and why? Because here, when you changes in the backend, the data or the table will be reflected here immediately. Okay, and here the data is actually in the backend itself because we are not importing the data here in the direct query mode. The data is here only in the SQL server. Okay, so this is also the one of the main difference between both this storage mode. Okay. If I- Any question, guys, regarding this?
No.
So now let's talk about the difference between import mode and the direct query mode. Uh, here. Now the first thing is, wait, it's gone. Yeah, as you asked, yeah, here we can see is there is any limit of data which can be brought into the Power BI in import mode. So for premium license, the size of the data set that can be brought into the Power BI is 10 GB, and 10 GB is actually more than enough. If let us say you are bringing the data which is of the size even let's say 5 GB, okay, then it means that the number of records in your table are somewhere near almost 80 to 100 million rows, and this is big data. Okay, so yeah, in import mode there is a bit limit of 10 GB, but whereas in direct query mode, okay, there is no limit. Whatever data is in the backend, you can connect to it, and yeah, it will be reflected on the Power BI. Okay. Now, there is this one more thing. When you are using import mode, okay, you can import the data from the multiple sources. Okay. What I mean is some tables you can get it from CSV files, some of them you can get it from Excel, and some of the data you can bring it from the SQL Server. Okay. Whereas if you are in direct query mode, your data must come from a single source. There cannot be multiple sources or there cannot be multiple backend sources. Okay, so that is one of the important thing. Then the next thing, the performance of the data model, how will it be in both the mode? Okay, in import mode, it will be high performance, whereas in the direct query mode, it depends on how fast your server is. And let's say if you are bringing the data from SQL Server and your SQL Server needs to be fast, okay. If that is taking a heavy load and if it gets slow, then same will be reflected in Power BI as well. So that is the one difference. So, yeah. So why this is high performance for import mode? Because we are actually bringing the data into the Power BI desktop. And for direct query mode, the data stays with the SQL Server. We are just connecting the making the connectivity between SQL Server and the Power BI. So it depends on the how fast is your SQL Server. Okay. Now, and this, as I said it already discussed, if you do any changes in the backend while using the direct query, those will be immediately reflected. Okay, in Power BI. Whereas if you do any changes in the import mode, they will not be reflected in Power BI until you do manual refresh, which I have already shown you here. If you click on this manual refresh, then only it will get refreshed and the new data will be pop up here. Okay. And then in import mode, the data will be stored in Power BI, whereas in the direct query mode, data will not be stored in Power BI. And also it is important to note that in here, the data will not just stored, but it will be compressed and stored. And the thing which is responsible for compression is Vertipack compressor engine of Power BI. Okay. And yes, the maximum there will be 48 refreshes that can be done per day while using the import mode, and that too if you are having premium capacity licensing. Okay. If you are having pro license, then only 10 refreshes per day are possible. But if you are in direct query or if you are using direct query mode, you can do refresh as often as 15 minutes. Okay. And let's say you open the file again. Okay. It will be refreshed once again every time you open the file. Okay. The data you will be getting is the refresh one when you are using direct query. Okay. Now there are certain advantages of import mode. Now, as far as Power Query Editor is concerned, import mode supports all kind of transformations, whereas some of the transformations are not possible in direct query mode. Okay. Similarly, all the DAX function will be supported in import mode, whereas some of the DAX functions will not be supported in here in the direct query mode. Okay. Okay, yeah. And importantly, the calculated tables can be calculated or created in import mode, and they are not supported in direct query mode. Okay. And there are certain further more differences which are enlisted here. So you people can go through them. So this is the elaborate difference between direct query mode and import mode. And yeah, so this is important regarding the interviews and all. Mostly they will ask this difference between the import mode and the direct query mode. Okay, so is this clear? Difference and all the stuffs regarding the import mode and direct query mode. Or do you guys have any question?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah,
Uh,
please. Change.
so in direct query mode,
Mm-hmm.
so if I'm in the database, if I'm inserting data, so you said it will be updating automatically, or we can refresh so that it gets updated immediately,
Yes,
right? So
yes,
if we
correct.
add new table also, will that be loaded, or
Mm-hmm.
only data values loading in the existing table loads?
Only the data values because I have shown you here when I was trying to when I was trying to import the data, okay, using the data Excel, and then I clicked on SQL Server and a pop-up, and then I have established the
Yeah,
connection
you
between my
selected only few tables.
yeah few tables. Only those tables have come here, okay. Until
Okay.
and unless you don't select those tables, the data of that tables will not come into the Power BI.
Okay, so later if I want to like add if I am adding two more tables to my database, so later can
Yes,
I
you can.
edit the connection?
Yes, yes, you can add the data. You
Okay.
cannot edit connection. Okay.
Hmm. Like how will you do that? Can you just show?
Yeah, sure. So, like, if you want to add some more data, okay, from the same database, okay. So again, I have to give the same input, like,
Okay.
okay, um, yes, and then the database was add adventure what's 2019. Okay. I've selected here direct query mode, and I will click on OK. Sometimes it's something like this. It's fine.
Okay, that's fine. We can continue the class. I don't want to waste the time. But I understood. It's like the same
Yeah.
connection. You can add some more
Yes, yes,
tables.
yes, correct, correct.
Okay.
Okay.
So it will not add it as a new connection. It will add it to the existing
Hmm.
connection, right?
Yes, yes, yes. It will just import
Okay.
the new table which you want to import. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay. Fine then. Let's proceed. Mm, So we have covered import mode, direct remote, and yeah, now the live connection. Yeah. So the thing is, the live connection is very much similar to the direct query mode. Okay. I mean, it is almost same to same, but the only difference is that in live connection, we get the data in the cube form. Okay. We get the data which looks like the data which is in the cube form. I hope everyone knows what the data in the cube form means. Do you not? Mm. Let me explain this on the cube form thing. Okay. So for example, I hope this is visible to you guys.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a OLAP system, and the OLAP system is online analysis processing system. And this basically is the data which looks like in the cube form. Now let me try explaining this. Now if you look at the y-axis, okay, in here, you have certain dimension. What is the dimension? It basically is the product category. This is y-axis, and we have product categories. Okay, right. That is accessories, bikes, clothing, components. And now if you look at the z-axis, okay, this is showing us z-axis is showing us the timeline. Basically, that is 2015 Jan, 2015 Feb till 2015 May. Okay. Whereas if you look at this x-axis, okay, now here is where we can store the measures like the transactions or for example the profits. Now let us say if I deal with the particular cube, okay, let us say we are showing transaction in y-axis, sorry, x-axis. So this cube bottom second, this one, this you can see this cube, what it means. Can you guys tell me? Components in which month this
Components
cube is?
in 2015 Jan.
Yes, correct. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Now I will try to show you how the data in the cube form looks like in the Excel. Let me just open the Excel. I have this. Okay. Mm, Let's say we have this Excel file like this, which present the orders tables. Okay, this one, and we have returns table and the users table. Okay, So this has various details of the sales transaction data happening. For example, this order, I mean, you can see this. This is a primary key. Okay, so I will try to create a cube kind of analysis from this table. And so what I will do is, go to just a second, it's not. I will go to insert, and then I will go to table, and I will select new worksheet. So new table, new worksheet. Okay. So here, I will, yeah. So let me just connect my charger. Now here, what I will do is now on the row side, okay, I will try to I will try to give certain details, like for example, the product subcategories. But I will just drag and drop this in the rows, okay, and yeah, and I will move a certain measure like transaction or maybe the profit. Let me just take it as subcategories which I have already moved, and the columns. Just a minute, guys. And then we have, okay, and this shipping mode, I will move this in columns, okay, and then so in the values, which is actually the measure here, okay, for this here I will try to move some, try to move this here. So now if you see this axis, basically what is it is showing us? It is showing us the product subcategories here. The rows in here of the first column, they are basically the what we can say, where these are the shipping modes and delivery truck, express, regular, air, and all these things. Okay. And the data which is inside this or the values data correspond to, they correspond to the corresponding profit and loss. These are whether we are making profit or the loss. Okay. For example, if you consider this particular value, let me just consider this particular value. Okay. What it shows the office machine, okay, which are coming from the which mode, delivery truck, okay, and this is making this much of profit. Okay, so this kind of data which looks like this, it's usually called the data in the cube form. Now, let me tell you, usually the data in the cube form, it will come from the tools like SSAS or Azure Analysis Service. So if the data comes from there, it usually the data in the cube form. Okay. And when that happens, Power BI ultimately will be used just as the final reporting tool. Means just bringing in the measures, these data into the visuals you are doing, nothing else apart from that. Okay. So that will, sorry, that is what we call the live connection. And the live connection behaves exactly similar to the direct query mode, apart from the fact that in live connection, the data will be of the cube form. Okay. One of the point is the direct query and the live connection works with databases only. And okay, so this is what the actual cube form of data looks like. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, what I was saying that if you bringing these type of data, you don't have to work around on the Power BI. You just have to use these data directly for the reporting. You have to just work on this for the reporting part. You don't have to edit or you have to don't transform these data and all. Okay, so that's what about the live connection. So the only difference between the live connection and direct query mode is the data which is coming into the Power BI using live connection will be of cube form. Okay, and now let's come to the final thing, that is the last storage mode or the dual storage mode, which is also known as composite mode or hybrid mode. Okay. Now the thing about this, let us say you have a setup in Power BI, setup in a Power BI where some of the tables are coming by direct query mode, whereas another set of tables are coming from import mode. Okay. Now this kind of arrangement, we call it as dual mode or composite mode. Okay, or also we called it as hybrid mode. So is this clear, or any doubt regarding these type of storage modes? Yes or no?
Uh, can you repeat the dual or composite mode once again?
Yeah, sure. Let me repeat this again. Suppose you have a Power BI setup, okay, where some of the tables here, let me just go there. Yeah, where some of the tables are coming from, like suppose if you are using SQL Server, okay. So some of the tables which are coming from the import mode, and some of the tables are coming from the direct query mode. Okay. So this kind of arrangement, when you get those data using both the what I can say, using both the storage modes, okay, into the Power BI, then this kind of arrangement we call it as dual mode or composite mode or hybrid mode. Is it clear now?
Yeah, that is clear. So in this, how those differences work? So we have a difference like for refreshing data. If it is like a direct query mode, it is like we can do 15 minutes once. If it is like stored one, already stored load data type, and we can't do like we have limited numbers of refresh and data limit. So how does this composite one works?
We should see. So this data we have taken it using which mode? Let me just check. This is oh yeah. We have imported this using direct query mode. Let us see. I will try to import some data. Basically, I think it depends on the data which you are selecting or the data, the tables which you are working. When you here, you can see all the data when it will be available. It will you can have the options according to the data, okay, uh, which are here. Okay, if you choose the datas which are coming using the direct query mode, you can have that thing that what I will say that preference in the Power BI. Okay, and the
Okay,
data
got it.
which are coming from the import mode, you will have that preference. Okay,
Okay, thank
yeah,
you.
yeah, welcome. Now let's just start with the thing. Yeah, Power Query Editor. Okay, so let me open one new instance of the Power BI desktop. So let me close all of these instance first. Just wait a minute. Closed all instance of Power BI desktop, and now we will refresh it as a start. Okay. Don't worry about the files. I will give these files to you guys for the practice so that you guys can also practice on that. Let me just open. Okay. So let's start getting our hands dirty by cleaning the data. So let's start with this Power Query Editor. Let me just first open the blank report. And here, yeah, new Power BI instance I have already opened. Yeah, before we actually get the data from different sources, what I will do is I will show you the initial settings that needs to be done in order to use Power Query Editor to its full manual potential. Okay. So for that, so why I'm saying the manual, because we will be doing certain steps manually, but sometimes what happens, the Power BI does it by itself automatically. Okay, but I don't want Power BI to do it. I want us to do it. Okay, so let's see what are those settings first. So first of all, I will go to this file. Okay, and now in here, I have this option and settings. And then we will go to in options. Okay. Yeah. So here we have two sets of options. That is a global one, and then another is a current file. Okay. So here, what we need to do in global, you see the data load, uh, this data load, and here it in the type detection. Okay. Uh, it is set to detect column types and headers for unconstructed source according to each file settings. Okay, and this we need to change to never detect column types and headers for unstructured source. Okay, and not just that, in global you need to go one more setting. Okay, which is where is that? Mm, yeah, in regional setting and in what have I said? Okay, yeah. Regional settings, and you need to make sure this language, where it is the language here, okay, is English US. Yeah, okay, it should be always English US. Okay, so that is the second thing, and then you need to go to the current file. Okay, and here again in the data load you need to alt just a second, import relations from the data set files. Okay, update the delete. Yeah, so you can see here, there is by default here are two checks, which is import relationships from data sources on first load and auto detect new relationships after data is loaded. Okay, but we have to uncheck it. I'll just uncheck it. We'll uncheck this too. So once this is done, you also need to go to the regional setting. Here also make sure the language is English US. Let's see. Okay. And there you need to make sure again which hit the load or uncheck, and here also make sure never detect. Okay. Now I will click on OK. Yeah. So these things is one thing we need to do before starting the Power Query editor, and I will explain you why I have done all these things in the ongoing uh, discussion. Okay. And yeah, and now let me show you to how to save the file first. You guys can go to file, and here you have the save as option, and yeah, you can just click on this save as, and whatever files you want to save, you can save it by using that. Okay. Okay. So I think I should start the discussion for the Power Creator from the next class, as we don't have much time to discuss. So any questions or any doubt regarding today's class, people?
Whatever changes you did to the data type right now. So it is like if you have like a primary
Mm,
key declared or a connection between tables, all those things will be
yes,
discarded, right?
yes. The Power BI will not select the things by itself. We have to do it manually. Okay.
Okay. So whatever changes we made, even though the connection is
Mm,
already there in the server, it will just disregard
mm.
everything. So we can
Yes,
make our own connection using Power Query or
yes, yes.
whatever we are gonna
That
do next.
yes, the data modeling and all these things we
Okay.
can do it by
So we'll do
ourselves.
that in next
Okay.
class.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome.
I have
So,
one more
any
question.
other
This is
question,
the
guys?
third class,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, this is the third class. The first one
Okay.
was demo session, and yesterday we had a class, and today we
Okay.
have this class.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, welcome. Any more question, guys? Okay. If there are no more questions.